What's up, guys? This is Aaron from Betraying the Martyrs, and you are watching DaBelly.
Hi, this is Dave from DaBelly. We're at Club Red tonight. We're going to talk to Aaron from Betraying the Martyrs. How you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. We were just talking about dinner tonight. He's heading over for dinner, so all you guys, jump in the wagon, come on over.
Bring some food.
Well, it's finally happened. I've in prep for this interview, I watched a few videos that you've done in video interviews, and I've also read some of the other reviews. Well, not really reviews, but interviews, text burst. And you've finally done it. Rapture has come out. Talk a little bit about the record.
Well, the record actually hasn't come out yet. The first,
You're right.
The first two singles,
Close.
yeah, it's close. We've announced it. We've finally announced it. We've been sitting on the album for quite a while now, and we've announced it for a release on September the 13th. Yeah. And the first two singles have gotten a really good reaction, so we're really looking forward to putting it out.
Parasite, the first single you put out, was it's spooky and eerie, and it's a lot of cool things, very, very cinematic. Talk a little bit about the concept of the video and how it all came together.
Well, the concept of the video came from the lyrics. The lyrics is something I've wanted to talk about, and I think it's something that's on a lot of people's mind. A lot of people talking about mental health and anxiety and all this kind of stuff, and I think it's better just to kind of put your heart on your sleeve and talk about it, just so people can relate. You know, I wrote the song about having these kind of like two minds in your head, the one that tells you, that everything's going really bad and, you're feeling down, and the other one that's kind of trying to push it away. And I went through kind of a bad spell a few years back, and it's basically just a song about overcoming that and finally managing to push away that, that ugly side of my mind and just learning to enjoy life.
It was cool, the representation of that, the inner child, the actual child stepping out.
Yeah, just the more innocent side before adulthood and all the responsibilities and stress came about. Just try and look back and become the root of who you actually are, instead of the product of surroundings and bad things that may have happened.
Yeah, it's certainly something we all struggle with. It's a very relatable song for everybody, I think. Yeah. So you've been touring the hell out of everywhere. Yeah, I was just going to say, is America? No, it's everywhere. Yeah. Talk a little bit about being out on the road with this.
In the U.S. particularly?
In the U.S. and with this album. Upcoming album.
It's been great. We released a single, and that brought us over to the States a few months ago with the Browning. And off the back of that, we did Asia for the first time. We did Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, Thailand, Singapore, Japan. And I've never even been to Asia before, so that was a crazy experience. Yeah. And it's nice just to see that metal music isn't just something that happens in Europe or the States. It happens everywhere, and everyone's just as passionate about it. The bands and the fans, it's just the same. It's like an international language.
How did you approach writing Rapture? Did you have a concept in mind for the album as a general whole, or did the songs just sort of create the album?
Our last album, The Resilient, we kind of had a general theme for that album. This one, we just kind of wrote. The music normally comes first, and the music sets the tone, and then the lyrics kind of follow to try and make the whole song as a whole, make sense. And also on this album, the other guys of the band had things that they wanted to talk about too. Instead of just me pouring my heart out, I was asking the guys, is there a certain subject that you'd like to talk about, and if so, and there's some pretty deep stuff coming from the other guys too that I had to write for them, and it is more an album of personal experience than it is about fighting dragons or the metal, typical metal subjects. Yeah.
This album certainly, I think it's a little heavier than the other things. This is your fourth album now, which is, it seems like it's happened fast. You've been on 3 of the 4, but it seems like it's happened fast. Yeah, there's a progression going on, an evolution. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's definitely an evolution. So the first album came very naturally because it was our first. The second one, we was a little bit confused. We had way too many. We'd been on tour with so many different bands and so many different influences, and we just kind of we kind of wanted to showcase like what we'd learned in terms of technicality, instruments and stuff, and it wasn't as easily digestible as the first one was. And then I think on the third album we really found our formula, and on this one we're just perfecting it and kind of bringing out the more darker side of things.
You seem like this was a quicker cycle. It's only been a couple of years since the last album. We've normally been doing about 3. What prompted the faster turn?
I think we're just learning like how to work and how to manage our time, you know, because an album always runs into two years of non-stop touring, you know, and you can't wait until those 2 years are finished to start writing another record. Otherwise, it's going to be 3 years. You know what I mean? So we just doing a tour, coming back. If we've got a couple of weeks, then we'll go out into a studio and start writing, and just doing the album in chunks. Just making sure we're managing our time and getting.
You find that you fall victim to you're never finished. You're always tweaking. You're always trying to make it a little bit better. It's hard to find it's good enough.
Definitely. Some of these songs we actually recorded like 3 times. We do pre-production, then we're like, let's do some more demos, and let's do another one, change this a little bit, and then when we finally got in the studio, it's like 3 or 4 times maybe. It's still not perfect.
Well, perfection, eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we've mentioned touring a little bit. Going forward, you already mentioned 2 years you're expecting. What do you got for the rest of 19 and going into 20?
So we're going out on a headline tour in Europe as soon as the album comes out. We've got some shows around France and mainland Europe, a few festivals, which we're really looking forward to. And then going into 2020, we're focusing on getting back to the United States before March, if we can, because our visas run out in March. So we have to, otherwise it's another $1,500 per person, a long process. So we're trying to get back into the States by springtime next year. And then next summer is definitely going to be festival season, just doing all the big festivals. This year we didn't have the chance because we've been here and we've been in Asia while they've been happening. So that's definitely our focus for next year.
I think the last thing I wanted to talk about is this package that you put together for this tour. Obviously headlining Entheos on the tour, Define Decay. You got some great bands on the road with you. Talk about the importance of putting together a great package for the fan.
Oh, it's super important because, this is our very first headliner here. So in order for us to establish ourselves as a headlining band, we need to have a package that's going to bring people that might not necessarily listen to our band. We do need the support bands to bring along their fans too, in order for them to discover our band too. And we just wanted to put a package together, something kind of varied. Entheos is technical. You got Within the Destruction, which is really slam, very heavy. Define Decay is a Thai band, very international, and Sentinels is that like young kind of genty band. I think it just came across as a good package, and we're really happy that they all accepted to come along.
Perfect. That's all I've got. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything I missed?
No, I just want to. It's really important for us to express how much we appreciate the fans over here in America for sticking around. We understand that the American public has a short attention span just because of how many bands and how many tours are happening. And for those that have stuck around and have supported the band through that whole period, it's just a huge thank you. And it's a pleasure to be so far from home and have people be into our music still.
Well, there it is. Have a great set tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your time.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thinking my lips is what someone